Good morning, everyone. My name is Aleksandra Wesolowska. I work in Marcos unit, so in CNECT G3. And I will provide you more background on what we are doing under CEF e-translation, CEF automated translation. And I will start by explaining a bit the terms we are using, and many terms that have been used so far by the previous speakers, which might be a bit confusing to you, because you have heard today automated translation, you have heard e-translation on some slides, and some people were saying CEF AT. So I want to say we use that interchangeably, but we mean the same thing. So CEF automated translation, or a short name CEF e-translation, is a building block of the Connecting Europe Facility program. And as a building block, it is supposed to provide services to other DSIs and public online services. And for the e-translation, the purpose is to make the CEF DSIs multilingual. So the e-translation builds on the existing machine translation service MT at EC. So this is, as was mentioned by Joseph, the machine translation service trained on the data that EC has, so on our legal texts mainly. But the e-translation, as we envisage it under CEF, it won't be limited to this machine translation service. It will include more MT technologies which are better suited for the particular languages or for the domains based on the data we gather, plus other natural language processing services based on user needs that are necessary to make public online services multilingual. So if you look at the orange box, to sum up, the e-translation we use for naming the future system, which extends the capabilities and meets the DSI requirements not addressed so far with the current MT at EC system. And the overall vision we have for the e-translation is that it is a multilingualism enabler for public online services. So we are not quite there yet. What we are starting with is the MT at EC, which is a European Commission product based on the statistical machine translation technology and using the open source software Moses, which was co-funded by the European Commission in the research programs for the, yes. Then it was developed further by the DGT between 2010 and 2013. It was co-funded from the ESA program, and it was first released in June 2013, and it is regularly upgraded. So what it offers today is machine translation service between the 24 official EU languages. It offers 552 language pairs, 73 direct language pairs. It is a secure machine translation service which is hosted in the EC data center with secure access and transfer over the secure internet connection, or the STESTA, which is the secure connection for public administrations. The service can be used via a web user interface, and there is an API that can be integrated into online services. And currently the system is used by the European institutions and bodies, by the public administrators in these institutions and bodies, but also in online services funded or supported by the EU. And the system has also been made available to national public administrations in the EU countries, Norway and Iceland. You can find, so what the system does, it accepts several formats of documents for translations, documents in Word, Excel, PowerPoint. It also supports specific formats used in translation by translators, TMX and XCLI. It indicates the expected quality of the translation for different language pairs, and the user interface for the web client is available in 24 languages. you can have the translation returned by email or stored in your personal workspace. You can also translate several documents into several languages in one go. There is a feedback mechanism to provide your feedback on the translation. You can find more information and request. If you work in the National Public Administration, you can request access to it under the following link and see what it can do for you today and whether it is suitable or not for your needs. Yes. Then, as regards the online services that are already connected to the current system, this is a non-exhaustive list. You can see here some services that are already using it. For example, the Internet Market Information System uses it for the free text message exchange. The Solvit system also uses it. NLEX, which is a common gateway to national law. And CIRCA-BC, which is the Communication and Information Resource Center for Administration, Businesses and Citizens, for translation of documents. As was said before, e-translation should provide, will provide multilingual services, in particular for the CEF DSIs. So we have already started talking with the DSIs, and some of them are already connected to the current system. These are for European Data Portal, Open Online Dispute Resolution Platform, and the e-Justice Portal. And there will be presentations later today on from the European Data Portal and from the Online Dispute Resolution. So you will see how they use currently the MT@EC. We are working further with Europeana, Safer Internet Centers, and the ESI platform, Electronic Exchange of Social Security Information, to define their needs and to provide a service to them. If you put it in the big picture that was outlined by Marco earlier today, that the building blocks are there, the CEF building blocks are there to support the DSIs and other online services, you can have an overview on which DSIs are currently using or have committed to use or have committed to analyze the possible usage of the building blocks. This reuse watch can be accessed under the link here if you want later on. It's regularly updated every 3 months, so you can see here what I just explained before, that the public open data, this is the European Data Portal, in green is already using the e-translation. Same for Open Online Dispute Resolution and the e-Justice Portal. The next to go are the Europeana Safer Internet and the ESI platform. And then we will also be talking to the others. So what have we achieved so far? What was done so far? CEF is based on annual work programs. So far there have been work programs 2014, 2015, which we are implementing. And based on those work programs, we have continued the in-house development and deployment of the core machine translation platform. And we have done some preparatory work for the domain adaptation of the MT service to the needs of the DSIs. We have we are preparing to develop the MT Engines Factory. I will explain what it is. We are scaling up the service, and we have prepared for the move to the cloud environment. We have also defined an initial set of user requirements, of the DSI requirements. I will show in the next slide in more detail. We have launched and set up the Language Resource Coordination Network, mentioned by Joseph, and the purpose of us being here today. And we have constituted the Language Resource Board. So this is part of the governance structure we have for the e-translation. This board is constituted of the national anchor points, so 2 per member states, as was mentioned by Joseph. And it is crucial in our activities because we do want to talk to you and we want to hear from you, get feedback from you on what we are doing. There will be a governance space which is being set up and to which you will get the Language Resource Board members will get access, and that will be a forum for exchanging information. And we have the CEF digital website with information on the DSIs and the building blocks, and there is the e-translation section there as well. It was only launched a couple of months ago, so it's still work in progress, but we will be putting more information and engage there with you. So this is the initial set of DSI requirements. We had a study on the multilingual needs of the 6 DSIs. So the initial list has been identified and it was prioritized. But this is only the starting point. It will be reviewed with each DSI in the coming months, questioning and maybe making the requirements more precise. In general, the challenges we have identified relate to the speed, to the scalability of the system, to the quality of the translations, and the integration of the e-translation service into the online services. So we are working on those different aspects. The quality is divided between the general linguistic quality as well as in terms of the quality it offers for specific domains where the language data we are collecting with you is crucial. The European Language Resource Coordination was launched, has been ongoing, and this effort will be continued to identify and collect data for all EU languages, Icelandic and Norwegian. As mentioned by Joseph, there were workshops in all, or almost all countries, and this is the second conference. There is a help desk for technical and legal matters. So what's next? We will continue to work on the core platform. In particular, we will evaluate mature language technologies that would be useful and can and should be integrated to serve the CEF DSI use cases and purposes. For those language resources which we do not manage to obtain with your help and through other channels, or for the cases where the volume is not enough, we will be purchasing deficient language resources. We will also create a repository of language resources within the e-translation platform. This is an extension of what is already now done in the ELRC. We will work on domain adaptation proof of concept first for the 6 DSIs, and we will continue working on the engines factory, which will automate the laborious process of adapting the empty systems to the new domains, and which will automate, in general, the running data management of the automated translation. We will extend and deepen the language resource coordination, the ELRC action, moving from training and networking to the systematic collection of language resources, and we will further work on identifying DSI user needs and multilingual needs of public services in general. So concretely, there will be, we have had a call for tender earlier this year, and the contracts are in the process of being signed now and will be starting soon. We have some code names for them, lot 1, lot 2, lot 3, but you can see in bold what the 3 contracts will do. So the first one will do the technology monitoring and evaluation of the technologies that the EC considers relevant for the e-translation. Lot 2 will continue the language resource coordination effort, so it's probably not the last time you hear from us. This effort will be continued. Yeah, and in that we will also set up the language resource repository. and provide even more support in terms of solving legal and technical issues. And within Lot 3, we will purchase the language resources, parallel corpora for MT, for those topics and language pairs that we cannot obtain otherwise. Also, what's coming up next, and I will talk about it later in the panel, is we have a call for proposals for collaborative projects under 2 action lines: the resources projects on stimulating language resource provision to e-translation, and the second line is on integration projects on the integration of the e-translation service into multilingual cross-border digital services. The call is opened now, and the projects, successful projects, would start sometime next year, probably around May, and we hope that they would contribute to the development of the core platform as well. So in this slide, I'm showing again the slide that was already on Marco's presentation, for those maybe of you who like to have a visual representation of what I just said. So hopefully this helps. So this is the way we envisaged the e-translation platform, the big picture of it, if you want. So the crucial element of it, one of the 4 elements, is the language, data, and tools, which we are gathering with your help. The data is necessary to develop the MT engines in the engine factory for specific needs. Currently, the system that exists already is the machine translation service. It will be improved, but we are also talking to the DSIs and to the users to define other services that might be necessary to make public online services multilingual, and we have space and willingness to include them next to the machine translation service. So now some of the elements I have mentioned before, how do they fit into this picture? So with the European Language Resource Coordination, we are aiming to get input for the language resources that we need. With the Lot 2 and Lot 3, this effort will be continued, and we will also be purchasing language resources and related refinement and processing services. The Lot 1 will support the acquisition of the MT systems, processing modules and services. It will do the technology evaluation, and later on we will purchase those modules and services which are considered useful. We have done, on the line of talking to the users, we have done the requirement study for the 6 CEF DSIs. These are the ones that were on my previous slide. These are the first ones we considered. We will continue this work, and we also hope that from the INEA, from the proposals, from the projects that will be funded under the currently open call, we will also get some input or contribution to the language resources we need, and to better understanding what services are needed for the public online services. And finally, I want to talk a bit more about the policy part. So there is the e-government action plan that has been adopted lately by the European Commission, and it's an action plan that is not final. It has identified 20 actions on where European Commission wants to act, but the stakeholders can propose new actions. There is a stakeholder engagement platform where there is a call for ideas, which is open, and you can tell us what you think is important to improve the e-government services, and if you think the multilingual enablement is important, then this is one of the ways you can say it. So this is how the stakeholder engagement platform looks like. And there are, I believe, some discussions already on the language aspect as well. So this is all for me for now. Thank you.
Thank you.